Hey guys, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Taco Bevalaar. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, no, you can also call me ESTP Baf. That's my YouTube name, but just say Taco, like Taco Bell. It's very
Taco
simple.
Bell, yeah. I don't think anyone will remember that. So where in the Netherlands do you live before we start, Taco?
I live close to National Park Hoge Veluwe in Ede. It's a very small town. And I
Oh,
work in Rotterdam, which is a harbor city.
I see. Yeah, I guess I've been to Netherlands because I have a lot of Dutch friends because I go backpacking a lot. So everyone who backpacks are Dutch people. So
Yeah,
uh,
that's true. Yeah, we like to travel around the world. Yeah.
yeah. So I got a chance to stay in Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and I've been to Eindhoven also.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you saw quite a bit of the country then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. So Taco, you are an ESTP.
Yeah.
And then before the interview, you told me that you do you think you're tribe above self or self above tribe?
It's self above tribe by nature, but I think I worked a lot on uh, taking care of the tribe more. So it's now I think more balanced compared to say 20 years ago.
When you were younger?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I worked a lot on. Yeah,
So you are SETI, and then you told me before the interview that you're consume, play, blast, sleep, masculine, feminine, and you're very auditory.
I said I think I am because I'm not so sure. This is I'm not that much into OP, so
Yes.
just how I analyzed myself. Not
Yeah.
sure. Not say not 100% sure.
It sounds about right. So let's talk about your consume first. So do you like to gather a lot of information? Like you're very obsessed with reading,
That's
listening.
what I do almost the whole day. That's I think I watch a ton of YouTube videos. I like to start the day with the coffee with a colleague just to chat, and then I work in a trading environment, so I have all these screens. It's like flight simulator, 3 screens, and with all the charts and all the other data just coming to me. 2 television screens also in front of me, so
Wow.
CNBC, CNN, and then I work in an open space, so 16 colleagues around me, and
Wow.
it's like I listen into 5 conversations at the same time, so it's all consumed to me.
And it's
It
okay
goes
that
on the whole day, and I'm never overloaded.
you don't overload. It's okay when that
No,
happens.
no, I feel energized by it because if I work from home, I'm completely drained by the end of the day.
Oh, I see. I see. But
So, and I think I need it. Just the interaction with other people. That's probably more play than, but also the data coming in all the time. That's something which keeps me basically energized. Yeah.
so you like gathering data. It makes you happy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, it's more that I'm craving for data to build basically my own models, how the world works. Yeah,
Um,
similar to MBTI.
what do you do for work? I mean, you said you have so many screens and you have so many colleagues around you. Like what?
Yeah, and I've been over, say for the last 20 years, I've been in a trading role. So
Okay.
buying or selling materials. I work for a big chemical company. We have 16,000 employees over the world. And now I'm now the marketing manager. But I think what you see a lot with ESTPs, they never want to take an office. So I got an office offered to me in 2003. So that's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And I refused it because I need to sit with the team. And I'm always somebody who wants to pull his own weight as well. So I'm still trading myself. I'm negotiating with customers or suppliers and things like that. I just like it. So I could not do without. But I have also people reporting to me who are also trading. And I like to coach them. So that's my job is it's commercial, it's management, and as a job, I like to interview people. I interviewed today. I also interviewed 2 people who are applying for jobs, and this is not for my own team. But they sometimes ask my support, and I really like to do it.
That sounds
I'm
like a
not
very
working for HR.
it sounds like a very ESTP thing too. Like if you were to look at the stereotype, like it's very promoter like.
Yes, yeah. I like to promote our products. I like to promote our company to people who apply, and then to spot talent to get them in. So,
Yeah, you must be very good at it too as an ESTP. Like you
I
enjoy it.
think, yeah, but at one moment I realized that when I was a student, I was a member of a rowing club. I was competitive rower. I'm still competitive rower. I'm still racing. And as from my second year, I was involved with recruiting the freshmen. So I was at the gate just looking what kind of big guys came in and were assessing their strength and their mentality and
Yeah.
making a chat with them, putting them in the rowing machine to look at the biomechanics and their talent. And so it always was something I like to do. Yeah. And I just developed it further. Yeah.
So you're doing everything that you like, whether that be career or hobby or athletics. Always.
That's my life. It's I refuse to think that you have to accept a job just for money. I start to basically shape it according my liking. So I have my ideas, and in the beginning, I can be almost like an ESTP, looking what's going on. Probably it's more the consume part,
Yeah.
getting all the information, and then I create a view. And that takes some time, and then I start building what I want, and that's what I did with the rowing crew. I'm racing with because that's an 8, so it's 8 guys. And I changed the rhythm and the style, and it took like 3 years. And as from that moment, we were just going like crazy. So, and in the team, in the office, the same. In the beginning, I was just basically one of the people in the team, but then I thought this team can do much better, and I started changing it. So that's how I got involved also in doing the interviews and coaching people and changing things in the team. And that took also something like 3 years before it really started to perform better, according to my own opinion.
Gotcha. And then you said people accuse you of being an ISTP sometimes. They said that ISTP can come across as very selfish. So you said that before the interview that you were very selfish when you were young, and you've improved on it as you got older.
I would not say very selfish. You asked me if I were, let's be accurate, you asked me if I was self above tribe or the other way, and I think I'm more balanced now.
Yeah.
And I was more leaning towards self than tribe when I was younger. But I always rode in crews like 8. So I think the ISTPs, I always see them rode a single, and only a few of them also join crews. But most of them are in the single. So they're really self above tribe. That also, if you talk to them, it's really interesting. You know, I like to perform with the team. And then an ISTP typically says to me, yeah, but then you don't know what your own contribution is. I want to perform, really know that I achieved something myself. That's real ISTP. That's what they always say.
Yeah, that's great. That's very ISTP-like.
Yeah.
I like how you corrected me about the accuracy of what I said. That's very masculine TI.
Okay.
let's talk about that. So for you, whenever someone says something that's either inaccurate or something that might have contradicted something that they have said before, do you jump in right away and correct them, or?
That's what, I think my SE nature typically jumps in, and it's only because my expert feeling that I try to be more diplomatic now, and usually that works. But also a lot of people, to go back to the accuracy, say I'm wordsmithing, but to me, it's not just a minor detail. The whole meaning of a word is different to me if you use the wrong word. So that's why I find it so important. Yeah.
So every word has a very specific meaning. So you can't just throw in any words.
No, you need to use the right words. That's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at my work, sometimes people say, "Yeah, come on, you understand what I mean?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." I try to be a bit moderate, but it's important.
Yeah. Well, what about your feminine FE? So you said you're very flexible with the tribe, though. So can you tell us some stories about you being flexible with people in general?
Maybe not really flexible with the tribe, but I'm really thinking now. But let's take the example of the 8 with rowing, race rowing.
Yeah.
And my TI is only thinking, how can we make this crew faster?
Yeah.
And everything that's about technique, but also about the people, where they sit in the boat. So I might change the composition. And then also, I might decide that one guy is not keeping up with the growth of the crew.
Yeah.
And then my TI says replace him. and that's when I hear this say voice in my head, and come on, you cannot just do that. Hey, he has been in the crew for years. You cannot just kick him out.
Yeah.
That's the FE side, trying to keep some balance. And then I think, that's that would be a bit mean, So but I would typically then try to find a kind of compromise to keep my FE happy. So he will stay in the crew, but I will tell him still that I expect to do more work to keep up, with the crew, something like that. And it can be harsh, but it's. I feel like everybody is putting in a lot of effort. You know, most guys train like 5 times a week
Yeah.
or more. So yeah, if somebody slacks, then yeah, he needs to know that he's basically in the risk area. He might fall out of the boat.
So you give them a warning first before you.
Yes, yeah. I want to be clear and open. Yeah, honest.
Gotcha.
Not stab them in the back. Yeah.
So because you're an ESTP, you are part of the EP family. So I'm also an EP. I'm an ENFP, right? One of the things that they said about EPs is that we absolutely hate someone trying to control us or
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't control me.
or try to tell us what to do. So can you tell me a story where you got really upset or pissed off that someone tried to control you?
I'm laughing now because at the office they just decided that we all had our own waste bin, you know, and I eat the whole day because I do sports every day.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of waste, and then I also have other stuff. So my waste bin typically at the end of the day is full, and it's not a small bin. Somebody at the office decided we have to be more sustainable in future, and so they put these kind of collectors close to the coffee pantry, which is not really next to my desk, but it's like a 30-yard walk. And they last Friday they said they would remove all the bins. So I did hide my bin in the filing cabinet because don't control me.
That's so funny.
And all my colleagues said, "Hey, that's not." Especially the STJs, if they're like 5 STJs in the team. They all think I'm a rebel, but I want to have my own bin. So come on.
Yeah. So do you get stressed out when you work with a lot of ISTJs or ESTJs that's trying to control you? Be like, okay, this is how we do things, and this is how you need to follow the rules. You know,
If that would be the case, I would be stressed out and go. But the good thing is, because I really love to work with STJs, but not as my boss. But if I have an ISTJ and an ESTJ reporting to me, and it's super great because if I want the team to do something or if I do a deal and I want them to finish it, I don't have to ask them any status updates or whatever. I just can rely upon them. They will do it. And they will finish it. They will take care of all the details, and they just do a fantastic job. And they're super reliable. They show up in the office every day. And with one guy, I'm already working for 10 years. And he's just my right hand, you know. He fills in all the details I typically don't like to pay attention to because it's routine work, you know, these kind of things. And he's perfectly happy with it. It's not that I give him stuff I don't like and he has to do it because he reports to me, but he likes that stuff as well. So I think it's very complimentary. And also my wife is nice, TJ. So that's enough, you know.
For colleagues or employees, ISTJs and ESTJs are perfect, but for bosses, no way. You know,
no way. No. I had my first one, and we had some big fights. Yeah, well, 2 times I was just packing my bag ready to leave the company.
You're ready to leave. That's funny.
Yeah. One time he said to me, "Hey, Taco, my 4-year-old daughter can do that better." I said, "Okay, give to your 4-year-old daughter because if I'm not meeting the expectations here, I'm in the wrong job. So bye-bye."
So that's great. Are you married right now?
Yes, for this year for 20 years.
And what is your wife? What is your wife's type?
ISTJ.
ISTJ. Yeah. And it's working perfectly for you guys?
It's let's say how it is. You start in a love boat, and at one moment, especially when you have small kids, it's like you're on a rough river, and then like this wild water trip, and it's almost like you bump out of the boat sometimes. But now we're in more steady waters, and it's a lot easier. And the thing is, we have not a similar function the same. So there are a lot of things where you just don't understand each other that easily, you know. It's like you talk different languages sometimes.
Yeah.
And that can be challenging. But I think I like challenges, so it's not really an issue.
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, it also leads to growth because the opposite would be if I would live together with another ESTP, and then you're all the same, so you don't learn anything.
Yeah.
one of the reasons I understand a lot of the cognitive functions is that they can really compare. You know, with everything, it's just the opposite. So you spot a lot of trends, and then I see the same in the office with the ISTJs. So then you think, okay, this is really different than how I am, and you start also understanding them instead of say thinking they're stupid or that they do things which they should not do. So I think it's good for me. That's been really good for me.
I really like your description, the whitewater description. That's so great.
It's also because I know you are an ENFP, so I talk your language.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I like the description.
Like we also talk English. Usually I would talk Dutch, but yeah, I think maybe that's an NFP would not find it authentic, but I really adapt basically to the people in front of me, and I don't think I'm a different guy. It's just that like I talk English now. It's just that I try to find the common language. That's how I see it. It's not that I suddenly leave my identity alone and change it to a different person, because that's sometimes what INFPs typically think when I encounter them, and somehow we're like sandpaper because it's never smooth.
With INFPs, you tend to have
INFPs,
some
yeah,
conflict.
with INFPs is easier, but probably because we're both EPs. But
Yeah, we
with INFPs, I don't know what I do, but they don't like it. Well, I sometimes, yeah, I find it interesting. I find people interesting, so I'm enthusiastic, but somehow I piss them off. I don't know. I offend them. They misunderstand me also usually.
Well, I think it depends on the animals. Like someone with low play can't take a joke, right? So like I can see you as a person that tells a lot of jokes and try to
I
make.
like yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe if the person is very serious, they have play last, they might be really offended by your joke when it's just a joke. Take it easy.
I think it's more. It's not about jokes. It's more that I want to know what's in front of me. So I might push buttons,
Oh, okay.
and they don't like that. Stay out of their zone. And well, I'm looking for a reaction because they keep really their FI for themselves, but then to me, I don't see anything. I need to see something. So then I start to push buttons to find out who they are, and that's what I find very intrusive. So
Yeah.
I do it less now, but another SP, they don't mind at all. They do the same. So you need to be cautious sometimes. You also get better in recognizing types. So now, very quickly, I can already suspect if somebody is an NFP, and I already adjust. I'm less SE. Let's say that way. I tune it down.
That's funny how you're pushing the buttons of the INFP to get them to force them to FE. Get that emotion out, and then they get really upset because they want to keep it inside, and they're like, stop it, and then you cause a big reaction to them, and they blow up, and then you're like, there we go, I got it.
No, but that was not my intention. Then I think, oh, damn, I did hurt them or something, and that was not what I wanted. I just want to know who they are.
Yeah. They said that people who are EPs, like ESTP or ENFP, or even IJs, like ISTJ, are very balanced with self and tribe. So would you say you're pretty balanced then with people in general? So you can see the perspective of the other person. And when there's a conflict, you kind of know why there's a conflict between you and the other person, and it's very quick for you to understand what happened from both perspectives. Would you say that's?
Yeah, I think also I think it helps me that in my 40s, basically, my NI became stronger, and what I noticed with NFJs is they always are. At least the ones in my life, they're very good in seeing the other perspectives, and for me, it became better. I became better in it and seeing the other perspective. So way more balanced from that perspective. And before that, yeah, I always worked in teams, and then if you want to make the boat fast, everybody has to agree, and you also have to do concessions. So I think that I've been doing that now for more than 30 years, and that's a good training. So I see myself as balanced, and also if I look at the people in the team, they love to work in a team. And tomorrow I'm having lunch, for example, from somebody from outside the company who wants to work in our team, because a lot of people from outside the company also want to join our team. So that can only be if people feel heard, if they that I'm listening to them, if people think they They appreciate who they are. Uh, I'm not trying to push my way upon them like some of the STJs in the team do. If I see it, I try to interfere because I tell them, yeah, they're different and another approach might also work. And I can see the both perspective. I can see why the STJ wants somebody else to do it exactly their way because that's the way they always do it.
Yeah.
But somebody new might want to try out new things, or is very creative, or just doesn't like to be told to have it that way if you have an STP. So I try to be kind of moderator. So I think I see usually both perspectives.
Okay, let's go jump into your N because that's very fascinating. So you said that you kind of got better at using your N in your 40s. When you, one of the things that when you look at the Dave Superpower stuff, is that they said that people with N as a demon, as their fourth function, they tend to kind of either fear the future or believe in ghosts. So do you believe in? First of all, start with that. Do you believe in ghosts, or do you get freaked out by something that is hard to explain? And then number two, did you used to fear the future a lot?
Not afraid for ghosts, but and usually I don't fear anything, because I think fear has to do with either that you repeat things which went wrong in the past. But to me, that's more SI. I see that a lot with SJs, especially ESFJs. Or it's fear for what can happen in the future, and that's with a lot of NE users. That they think I just said it wrong because the ESFJs they always fear with their NE what's going to happen in the future. And the SI DOMs, say the ISFJs and ISTJs, they fear to repeat the mistakes. And I'm more in the present, so I don't worry that much about what went wrong in the past, because for me every try is a new try. And also don't think too much about the future, so not worrying for that as well. I think any users can be way more creative with coming up with like 10 different horror scenarios what can go wrong. And yeah, to me it's not happening because we are here now. So I don't have that much fear at all, and also not anxiety. I can talk to any level in the organization. I can meet the CEO and don't feel any anxiety. I can do new things I never did before without feeling anxiety. But to come back to your original question, the times when you could say there was fear or maybe hesitation to take action was always when I had big decisions for the future, like buying my first house. That really kept me awake because I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to lock myself into a big loan. I will be inflexible. And I could not really visualize how that would play out in the future. And the same is with marriage. I think a lot of guys like me have commitment issues. It's not easy for them. Yeah, they might like it really, but then they think, yeah, how will it play out in the future? They cannot visualize it. They need to experience it themselves. And, otherwise, they don't know. So those were the times where I felt really uncomfortable. And maybe you could define it as fear, but to me, it's more that you get into kind of analysis paralysis. Then suddenly I don't take action anymore. Usually I'm very quick at taking decisions. Also in the office, if things go wrong, crisis, that's when I thrive and I take immediate decisions. I oversee everything, no problems with deciding stuff. But with these long-term decisions, I can go into TI mode and think, and go into circles. That can really bug me.
Okay, so I have two comments about what you just said. So first, I'm super jealous that that you live so strongly in the present and you don't have worries about the past or the futures. You feel very calm as a result, because for me, the present is very fleeting. Like I only feel the present at small bursts. Otherwise, I'm always living in the future. Number two, I also understand the commitment issues as a fellow EP. Like, because you feel trapped, right? Like if you get married, or you feel trapped if you buy a house and then you have to get in a mortgage, and then you
lose your freedom basically. Suddenly you have to pay the bank for the next 20 years. And,
you're trapped with that bank. So I completely understand that fear, of being trapped.
Yeah, that was really a tough decision.
Yeah. So let's talk about NI. So NI is kind of like having more singular interest. So for you, rowing seems to be your main interest.
Yeah, that's just very singular. Yes, 30 years of race rowing. How singular is that?
Yeah, exactly. But do you like to use your SE to dabble in other sports? Like, you're Dutch, right? You're super tall. So do you like basketball also, or?
For me, it's really rowing is my sport, and then I want to perform basically as best as I can. That's I think the NI growth mindset. You want to become really the master in the thing you do, and then the TI decides if it's the thing you like or not, and that's very binary. I either like something, then I go 100%, or I don't like it. And also in the office, it can be an issue because if I don't like something, I just don't do it. And,
Simple as
that. It's very binary. But if I want to do something, it's really 100%. There's no gray in between. And with the rowing as well, I really want to do the maximum I can. And I'm now already 52, and still, with the last race, we beat all the younger crews. The masters start with 27 years. We are on average 55. I'm one of the younger ones at 52. And the younger categories, you only get the medal if you win. There are basically two categories. The younger category, 27 to 50. So all the guys, some of them were still racing as students a few years ago. And you have basically the old guys, 50 plus. And they gave the old guys a separate medal to keep it fair, because otherwise the younger guys are supposed to be that much faster. But we were faster than the younger guys. So that gave a nasty taste to the medal for the younger guys.
I see a lot of pride when you beat them.
Yeah, to me, the best compliment I got is you go into the shower and then one of the young guys said, "How can we lose from these old farts?"
That's great.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Your day.
Yeah. So.
But I was looking at your Facebook. I saw you riding a bicycle too. So you don't like...
Yeah, the thing is, a rowing boat, it's like 8 meters. So that's say a bit more than 8 yards. And so you cannot just put it easily on the car or take it with you.
Yeah.
And if you go on family vacations, I did it once, but my wife didn't like it. I took the boat with me.
Yeah.
And we had the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to put the bikes on the car. And then I can still do sports and you still work out. So you use your legs a lot, and that's still good for rowing. It's like 70% of the rowing motion is your legs. Most people think it's only arms, but you do a lot with the legs and the back. And then it's also that's for me also to keep variety, because mentally you need to be really sharp every season. And if you would row every day of the year, I think it's too much of the same. And, so you need to do variety. For an NE, is probably not enough 2 sports for a guy like you who would like to do way more variation. But for me, it's not really routine, because every training and every race for me is a new one. And I'm always working on honing my skills, trying out new things. So it's not that if I train that I just go through the same motions. To me, it's completely new, and that's what keeping it interesting.
So you're doing cross training then? You're doing weight training to strengthen your legs and
weights, and it's amazing because I'm doing this now for 30 years, and tomorrow I will be completely sore again. So
yes,
that never stops. And I really push hard. I push to my max limit when I do it. So today I did my legs and my back, so I did deadlifts.
Oh, nice.
And I just push until I can't do it anymore, and then I did leg press because the legs were not completely dead after the deadlift. And my back was already completely done. And that's how I basically do the workout. And then tomorrow I cannot do any rowing motion because my back will be completely stiff. So I will do spinning tomorrow. So that's also a bit like cycling.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the legs, they recover quickly.
So I got 2 comments for that. Number one, as an NE user, I don't really want to do so many different activities because I have SI, right, as my forte.
Okay.
So I work in the fitness industry. I'm a personal trainer, and I actually like just doing like the same thing. Like when I exercise, I only like to do weights, and I like to do the same kind of weights exercise,
Okay. So that's very SI. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the sensory world, I like singular, but when it comes to ideas, then I like multiple.
Okay.
But
that resonates. Yeah. Another ENFP I know, she only jogs. And that's the only sport she does.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of weird with the SI and NI. They like singular things. But
But
um,
that's basically the same as with me, you know. There's always two sides of the coin, the SE and I,
yeah,
because I'm always super active. If I wake up in the morning, all systems are on, and that stays like that still until I fall asleep. And to get in an I, you need to basically detach a bit from the outside world and to go more into your inner mind, and that's
yeah.
really difficult for me. So that's for me not something which goes automatically or easily.
Well, let's talk about that then. So sleep is your fourth animal. That's your worst animal, you could say. So do you have trouble getting some sleep in general, or do you trouble processing how you feel inside, or how your thought process is happening? Like, do you have trouble going in that inner world?
I think I got a lot better in reflecting upon things, and also because of MBTI.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking a lot about also my own actions, and as a trader, also I think it's never the market who's basically killing you, but you make mistakes yourself. So you have to self-analyze. Why did I go into that trade which went so bad? You know, and then that's only the only way that you can improve and take action to become better. But about sleeping itself, so not the OP sleep, but real sleep. I never slept a lot. As a kid, I drove my parents nuts because I was already making noise and playing early in the morning and when they were still asleep. And as a kid, when I was like 14, I did the morning newspapers, not just one, but I had two quarters, because if I did one, I was home too early for school. So I did two, so I make twice the money. And I
wow.
woke up very early, easily. So, and I still don't sleep a lot. So it's
You feel
and I
okay?
go the whole day. It's a lot of energy. It's like Duracell batteries, you know, and it's all
Yeah, you feel
built
okay
up.
with you don't feel exhausted that you don't get enough sleep? It's
Uh, Now, if I compare it to, for example, my wife, she sleeps like 2 hours more than I do every day. And if we go on vacation or something and we sleep like 3 hours, I can still go the whole day. Yeah, I feel some sleep, but it's not that it's holding me back. Well, she feels like she's completely drained and low energy because of the lack of sleep.
how many hours a night of sleep do you get?
Now, usually I get 6.5 hours. So that's enough.
That's plenty. And then your wife needs 8 hours or something.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, yeah. From 10 to 7. So that's 9.
Yeah. I also noticed when you were kind of talking about weights earlier that you're kind of like a very extreme kind of person. Like you said, you go to the weights until everything is dead. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like
Otherwise, it doesn't feel like a good workout for weights. And with cardio, it's different, you know, because if you would do that every day, then you burn yourself down and you get overtrained. But
I
with
see.
weights, I do it to stay strong. I cannot get really stronger at 52, but I can still stay strong, and that's by pushing it really to the limit. And I think
Yeah,
if you don't push your muscles with weights, then you lose it. Yeah, that's what I think.
yeah, yeah. But even in rowing, you like everything that you're doing is pushing the limit. Like pushing the limit in weights, pushing the limit in competition in rowing, pushing the
Yeah,
limit in your job with trading. Right? You want to make the
exactly.
profit,
I
right?
push myself always into challenging situations, and then, but afterwards, I always feel good. That's the end of the, so, because last week, so an ENFJ, she told me that you're too tough to yourself, and that
Yeah,
was about the mental aspect.
yeah.
And I said, yeah, but that's me. I push myself really hard, and I become stronger because of it, because I always do it. And then I like the effect of it. When I'm at the dentist, I don't want to take anesthesia. And it's
Really?
not that I like pain, you know, it really hurts when he's drilling.
Yeah.
But I feel really good if I basically get myself through it, you know, and then I think, okay, I might have moved my pain threshold a bit today.
You, you
That
don't
makes
you
me
don't
feel
use
good.
anesthesia when you go to the dentist if they're
No,
doing surgery, even if it's a
no,
surgery.
surgery I do, but that's also, yeah, I think, yeah, that's probably bigger. But one time, there's only one time, and I was when he was drilling one of the teeth in my lower jaw.
Yeah.
I was shaking too much that he said, yeah, I'm going to give you anesthesia because I can't work like that. But
Okay.
with your upper teeth, there's a whole skull above it, so it's not moving like this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like this. So when I was drilling somewhere in tooth over there, so
You
yeah, it
must
was
have
fun. Yeah.
it sounds like you have an incredible pain tolerance.
I think race rowing itself is like a pain contest. After 1,000 meters, everybody is dying, and
Yeah.
It's the one who can basically tolerate the most pain here who will win. And I won more than 150 races, so I
Yeah.
think I'm good in it. Yeah.
Have you always been natural at having so much pain tolerance, or did you train it as you got, as you got older? Or
I think because I noticed it also as a coach that you with kids,
yeah,
the STPs then just like to push themselves, and that makes them stronger. And because typically, if you push yourself, something hurts.
yeah, of
Doesn't
course.
matter what you're doing, but if you push yourself to the limit, mentally or physically, something is telling you to stop,
Yeah,
and we tend to ignore that small voice and say, "Hey, come on, don't be so weak." And that's what we do all the time. And I'm very sure that now I'm mentally a lot stronger than when I was 25. Well, when I was 25, physically I was stronger than I am today. But I compensate a bit by a bit improved mental toughness. That's how I see it.
so you got more mental strength as you got older, but when you were younger, you had the physical power.
Yeah. You cannot get that back. That's
No.
that's the kind of human law. So yeah.
Yeah. Or you can take the testosterone replacement therapy, so you can kind of get some of it back. I don't know if you would do that
Yeah,
though.
no, but that would not be fair to my competitors, because, and even you have a doping list if you race. I also do the World Masters, so you're not supposed to take doping. And,
Oh, that's considered doping. Okay, got it.
yeah, testosterone. Otherwise, maybe I didn't get what you said, but yeah, the way my interpretation was that you said you have to use something to boost your testosterone.
You know
But to
what?
me, what I did today, that boosts your testosterone as well. Well, if you really push with the deadlift, which recruits so many muscles, big muscles, if you push yourself to the max, and also with the leg press, and yeah, I feel it everywhere in my body, and I think it releases a lot of growth hormone and testosterone.
When when I first saw your video online of you trying to teach people the proper Dutch English, and
I was not teaching, it was just to make fun out of my fellow my Dutch people who have terrible accents, like I also do, but I exaggerated. It was really,
oh, it's a joke.
yeah, it's a full joke.
Yeah.
It was not serious.
But then even looking at some of your pictures, you gave me a vibe that you're very similar to what's his name, Lance Armstrong. Like
I
when
wouldn't be surprised if he's an ESTP as well. Yeah.
yeah he probably
Because he always went 100%. And the thing is, he used doping, which is not really fair to the others. But so that's a part I don't admire in him. But what I really respect is the way he pushed himself every time. And also, I think without doping, the guy is a badass. It's what he did.
yeah.
I think 99.9% of the population could not do it with doping. He's really pushing himself all the time.
Well, that's what he said, was that his competitors were also doing with the same thing as him. It's not like
That's probably true. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but he has a podcast now. He interviews people.
Okay.
He's still
He's also interesting in people like me. Yeah. So.
yeah, he's still competing. He's still competing but now in the media world.
Okay.
But like even before we started the interview, I just had the vibe that you were somehow had the same mentality as him. And then now you're telling me that, you always push yourself to the limit. You don't accept weakness.
Yeah, that's also to come back to the, sorry to interrupt, but you talked about how I sometimes tend to clash with ENFPs, and it's less now than it used to be, say, 10 years ago. And this is exactly one of the things, because an INFP might say to me that they feel really hurt, or they don't feel like doing something. And then I think, don't be so weak,
Yeah.
But that's my SE, which is their blind spot, and they're using their FI, which I don't understand because that's my blind spot. So you get this kind of clash.
Yeah.
And now I relate to it and understand, and I know that I should not immediately see them as weak, but I have to see them as people who feel, which I don't do myself, obviously.
Gotcha.
And so I respect it also a lot more now. I really didn't respect it 10 years ago. I thought, come on, be a man and don't be so weak. That would be typically my comment, and that's exactly the wrong thing to say. So that's what I really like about all these cognitive functions, and and MBTI OP, that you really learn also that we're not the same. People have different strengths and see the world in a different way.
I think it's because I think the reason why for you strength is so important in the physical world is because of your masculine SE, you know, like, you know, SE is also physical, right? So in the physical world, like, you can't be weak. You have to be strong. So I can imagine someone with feminine SE might be, you know, maybe a little bit very different from you in the sense that, you know, like a little bit of pain or like, oh, it's too much. Like, I can't do this, you know? And then I can see you kind of like thinking in your head, like, oh my God, this person's so weak, you know, like, but, you know, it's just feminine sensory. Feminine sensory seems to be very different from masculine sensory. Because I have masculine.
To me, I still need to digest that in my basically TI framework, you know. So because those terms are introduced by Dave and Sean. I like the concept also with the memory, you know, that masculine sensory should be better memory than the feminine sensory, things like that. So, but it's not that I've got a crystal clear view on it. I'm still working on it.
Right, and you said you had really good memory because.
But short term, you know, a week later I don't know it anymore. But I'm sure that the chat we have now, that I can completely replay it later in the evening, and then probably I will analyze things you said or I said, but where I think, oh well, at that time I didn't get it yet, and now I get it, but it's after the interview. But in real life, then I go back to a person, for example, at the office, and then I say, yeah, yesterday you said that to me, and what did you really mean? And typically I'm right, so that's because I could replay it, and then it's almost like, yeah, you put the rewind button and you listen again, and very accurate. But a week later it's gone, because what I do, I think it's, you get in all this data all the time and you store it temporarily. So that's why I like the analog with the RAM memory of your computer. But to put it on your hard disk, and for me that would be my TI system where I built it in the model. Then I think, oh, this part is useful, and that's when I can remember for forever, because I either understand it or I think it's useful. But otherwise it's gone, and it's not saved. So my wife can be really annoyed that she said something to me like 3 times and I still don't remember, you know. That's but then probably I didn't build it in somewhere, so I need to use my Outlook calendar as a kind of way to save me. Otherwise she might be angry at me for forgetting something important. So yeah.
So Taco, you know, you really come across as a cool guy. Like when you were a kid, were you popular in school? And then like as you get older, have you always been like, you know, popular with people? Because you have your play is SNF, right? Which is like, they call it like popularity. And you know, you just know like the right things to say that to make people think, oh, this is so cool, or this is so fun.
I had always my tribes, but at high school, and I don't think at high school I was not really popular at school, but because I was just it was just a bad time for me. The first year at high school was a very NF school.
Oh,
so it was really creative. It was languages. We were singing and in a choir and singing as individuals.
Yeah.
It was a kind of, they call it the Eurythmics, but it's like ballet.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I did mechanical engineering, you know, I'm a hardcore engineer, logical thinker. I want to do stuff which are practical.
Yeah.
I didn't need the use of all this stuff that teach me the whole day. And there were long days, so I was just sabotaging the lessons. I didn't show up. I was like a rebel, you know. I think not a single teacher would like me, and also to other kids. If you're frustrated, you with yourself, how can you? Then you're less happy, and it's you're also a more difficult person, I think. So it was only after I changed another school. The next school, because after 1.5 years, I said to my parents, I'm not going to school anymore. This is not for me. Yeah. And then they put me at the more strict school, really strict, but it was too strict. They said the SJ school.
Yeah, the SJ school.
Really, with a lot of rules and everything. So what I liked is the math and then the math lessons. So finally, I could basically use my brain.
Yeah.
And it was useful, and that's what I really liked about it. But there were too many rules, and I didn't really comply. So I got banned for biology for half a year, so I didn't get a single good grade, and so that didn't really last long. And then I went to the Montessori school, Not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's the Rudolf Steiner concept, and it gives a lot of freedom to the kids. You can even do a year in your own pace. So for half a year I did nothing, and then I took a sprint of weeks, and then I did exams like 2-3 times a week, and completed almost everything in like 1 quarter. So yeah, really in my own pace, my own way, own freedom. So that worked well, and there I had a lot of friends, and I was popular. So I think it makes a difference how you feel. If you were completely zen, you were basically probably in your saviors, as Dave and Sean would say in OP.
Yeah.
Then you're really balanced. Well, I was not depressed. For me, if I compare myself to ESTPs, I don't get easily into this kind of inward loop.
Yeah.
That is TI and I loop, and I see that with ESTPs in my life.
Yeah.
But for me to get into something like that is really difficult, probably because of the lack of sleep, the OP sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm just unhappy, and the thing is, and that's what I like about being an ESTP, that if I'm unhappy, I'm not going to let me beat down by it, but I take action to change the world and to change my life. And so then I make changes to become happy, to get a life I want to have. And I've always been successful in doing that.
That's so funny that like you ended up in an NF school. I mean, I can't even imagine how that happened. And then you ended up in an SJ school right after, which is the worst school for EPs.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that didn't work.
Yeah.
But that was 3 schools in 4 years, and I also lost a year because at the SJ school, basically I didn't get any good grades. Well, I see myself an intelligent guy, but yeah.
Why? Yeah, it's obvious. I can see that you're intelligent, so it's. I can see that putting someone in the wrong school is a really bad idea because, I think everyone's smart in their own way, but you need to give them the right education. So when you finally landed on that third school and you had the freedom to do the stuff that you wanted to do, and that what
I finally found my own tribe,
yeah,
my own place, finally. Yeah. And I'm still grateful that happened. And it still went almost wrong because at one moment I had to go to the principal.
Yeah.
And he showed me a paper and he said, Taco, can you explain to me, how can you skip 40 lessons in 1 month?
Yeah.
And, if he would have been an SJ and have come up with sanctions and would have talked to my parents and a lot of warnings, all these kind of things, then probably that would have been the end of school for me, and I would have never become an engineer and successful in that field.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky. I think he was an NFJ, so he tried to find my perspective.
Yeah.
And then he also found a way. Let's say NF, because it's too far away. But he found my perspective, and he also could really see how he could basically motivate me. And I'm still grateful for the guy. It's fantastic what he did, because I was basically my own worst enemy, and he changed that, and in a good way, the only way possible with me. So that's amazing. It's good to have people like that in the world.
Yeah, that sounds incredible because he didn't just punish you like typical traditional SJ would do. He actually tried to understand you and found out how you would thrive.
And then what I said to him when he asked the question, I said, because I work in the afternoon, I'm making money, and I still get a good grade. So what's the issue?
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so matter of
convinced I was doing the right things, and the school system with all this the compulsory hours, that didn't work for me. But it was to me, I just ignored it.
Yeah, you're definitely.
I'm glad my own kids are not like that. And then to come back, how important school is. You always want to better your parents, and then you make other mistakes probably yourself. But
yeah,
I wanted my kids. I have an ENTP son and an ESTJ daughter, and I wanted them to go to the right schools and not to do the same mistake as my parents. And what we did is we went first to I would call it an SJ school with my son, because that school has a very good reputation. SJ.
So your son is an SJ, you said?
No, he's an ENTP, so not an SJ at all.
Your because NTP?
ENTP. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really cool. We bounce with the RTI all the time.
Yeah.
And he also is quite competitive. And the thing is, he didn't like the school at all. Well, the school, we live in a small town, and the school is a really good school, and a high percentage goes to universities. But I think EPs, yeah, they're probably the percentage who don't go to university from that school.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it at all, and he found himself a school which is very anti. It's
Yeah.
a technasium, and they do all these technical projects, and all his friends are also very intuitive thinkers.
Yeah.
His best friend is an INTJ.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and so he's very happy at that school. And now next year will do his last year. He's in his 5th year out of 6.
Yeah.
So that went really well. And our ESTJ daughter went to the ESTJ school. She's very happy over there. And I'm sure if you swap them, they're both unhappy. And then you hear stories from our daughter that the ESTPs, because she's also an MBTI, have completely brainwashed, of course, the kids with all the stuff I like to talk about. And then the ESTPs, they're smart enough to do it. They don't make it in that school. It sounds so familiar to me, and I think what a waste. It's not that I went to their parents and tried to pull out their kid. I should have done that. Right? That's what I sometimes think.
Yeah, that is
FE, but it's not strong enough to really do it. Yeah, that's how I analyze it.
Yeah. Well, it's a tragedy to see someone that can be so talented just put in the wrong place, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced they're just in the wrong place. It has nothing to do with their motivation or things like that. It's really the wrong place.
Yeah, I think that's always the case, though. I think just wrong place. You know, I think everyone is smart at something. You just need to put them in the right spot. And I think it's good that you're so flexible. I think because you learned about your childhood and you wanted to make sure the kids are customized to where their talent would be most developed.
Yeah, and for me, it was the worst time of my life. So I don't want them to have a similar experience like I had when I was their age. You know, I want them to be happy, to get along with other friends, and to have just a good time. So, and that's also why I like to interview people in the office, because it's the same over there. You want to find the right people for the right jobs. So you don't want to get an ENFJ into an accountancy role. You know, well, they might think themselves it's the right role because it pays well or something.
So you do the hiring at your work then?
I did 2 interviews today, for example. Yes, it's like I'm not working for HR, but it's like a hobby, and I love it. And I do it for our own team, but also for other managers. So we work in an office with 500 people, more than 40 nationalities.
Wow.
And there's always people we need to hire, and I like to help. And a lot of managers don't want my help, but if they do, I'm really enthusiastic to help them out.
Wow, that's great. So do you think, like, before any kids go to school, they should probably take their MBTI test or something similar, find out what their personality is, and then put them in the right school? Do you think that's something that people should do, or how the school system should change?
You could do that, but I was not really an MBTI, say 7 years ago. What I did is we just went to the introduction days.
Yeah.
And the kids just felt the vibe. You know, they went to this. You had these kind of lessons, demonstration lessons. So you are in a real lesson, and they sit in class, and there's the real teacher teaching geography or physics or whatever, and then they get the kind of feel. And it's amazing that both kids, with just like 2 or 3 hours in an evening, can say this school is not for me, or I like it over here. And I think it's similar as if we meet people, you can quickly in seconds sometimes say this is not for me, this person is the wrong energy for me, or you think, okay, hey, I feel a click. And it's the same with schools, it's the same with jobs and employers. So I believe if you need to expose them before they go. And then they have to say themselves, do they like it or not?
Yeah, first-hand experience is super important.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, Taco, we're gonna wrap up the interview pretty soon. I have 2 final questions for you. The first one is, you seem to be pretty balanced as an ESTP. What kind of advice would you give to ESTPs who have not developed their NI? So I don't know what that would look like. You know better than me because you're an ESTP, and you know you know how your having your NI develop has helped you, and also when you did not have it develop, how it made your life worse. So can you talk about how ESTPs can develop their NI better?
I think the thing is, we have it, but we try to push it away with our SE.
Yeah.
And so basically you just need to listen to it and give it space. And the thing is that ESTPs, as an ESTP, you just want to take action. You don't want to overthink. At least that's what you're telling yourself. You're overthinking. You have a plan, and you cannot wait to start actualizing it and take action before you already have thought out the whole plan. And with NI, you typically what you see with the NI DOMs, they first develop the plan in their mind until it's completely shaped and almost perfect, and then they start to take action. It's the opposite.
Right.
So I learn a lot from my ENFJ and INTJ friends just by being with them, hanging out with them, talking about things. You learn a lot, and so I think if you can basically hang out with your dual, with the same function but in the opposite order, then you can learn a lot. The thing is that typically when we are young, when I was young, it was not so easy for me to hang out with INFJs. They were going really deep, and I was already jumping to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because SE is always quick and moving on, and
yeah.
And now I really go with them. I call them my deep dive buddies. I like to go with them into that, and then also give them time, because I'm an extrovert, so I like to talk. And I'm already impressed that you can also keep your mouth shut, because for both of us it's typically not easy to listen to somebody else for a long time.
That's okay.
But with INFJs, I really push myself to stay quiet also when they're thinking, because if they go into their NI, then suddenly they forget everything around them, also that I'm there, and they're just going into their NI, and I don't want to disturb that process by saying something.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that they're then searching their brain intuitively, and then I'm really curious what will come out, and what kind of concept, because that's typically, if you wait for it, you get rewarded for it. And so
it's like a magic show.
It is, yeah. That's cool, because I don't have it that strong myself. For me, it's way more. Yeah, it's what being interested in singular things. It does help me now to develop deeper relationships with people who are close to my heart. That's something where I really helped, because ESTPs, when they're young, they move on so quickly. Also with their friends, it's that they can seem shallow, and what most people don't know about ESTPs is that they can be deep, but then it's not easy to find them, and also for themselves. It's typically the too much action oriented to go deep into a relationship. Yeah.
So maybe
emotional that. I know a lot of ESTPs who like to physically connect with the other sex. That's something. We are physically oriented always, so that's our nature. But to emotionally also go deep, that's way different. It's a new world, and that typically takes longer. For me, yeah, I didn't work on NI. It just became stronger when I got older, and in my 40s, it became really strong enough, basically, also to get an interest, for example, in MBTI and cognitive functions. Before that, I had no interest in it. So it's a good example.
Yeah. Oh my God, that makes so much sense, because it's so hard to find ESTPs into this stuff. So the only way we can find you guys is if you guys are older, because otherwise before you wouldn't give a shit about.
Yeah, exactly. We are making money. We are kicking ass. We are doing sports. It's action. It's to go into this stuff. It's too theoretical, It's
Yeah, but then now you like it. Now you like
love it, and also, but in a way, I also use it in a practical way. When we're recruiting people, when we're working together, and it's also in my marriage. So the way I raise my kids, I think otherwise our son is only intuitive in the family would have developed less as NE. Well, now, I try to be kind of spark, the catalyst.
Yeah.
And by just jumping to different subject which is related, and then he goes off, and it's fun to see. And then you can basically help him in his development instead of keeping him down. If you treat him, but if you give him basically the SJ parental guidance, then he might develop his SI, but his NE will not really grow, not as fast as with other ENTPs.
Gotcha. My last thing that I'm going to ask you is, I have functions that you don't have. So do you have any questions for me about functions that maybe you want to understand better? Like I have NE, FI, TE, and SI. So do you have any questions about any of those functions that you would like to hear from my
I talk about these functions in a Facebook group every day. So
okay.
it's, I'm not saying I don't have questions, more that, or that I'm a know-it-all. It's more that I don't want to take like 10 minutes by asking you a question I already ask every day to other NFPs, you know, and things like that to figure it out.
It's okay. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. So, okay.
No, I think it's cool you do all these interviews, because I also learn from your interviews, you know, because I look at the reactions and then, yeah, sometimes I think, okay, this, I have a different opinion, but I don't want to be too SETI by saying, I think that person is a different type, and
yeah,
I don't see it at all. Remember last time you were interviewing someone, and I saw a lot of SI, and I saw, well, and I saw, was it? And I didn't see NI. So, well, basically the type she had should not have any SI, and then and should have a lot of SE. So I think, okay, that doesn't match, you know, with how OP is assessing it. And,
I'm curious to see who's that person that you're referring to right now.
Yeah, but then sometimes you hurt people, you know, they get married to their identity, and I don't want to be basically that guy who, based on watching an interview without feeling the energy of the person, to make statements like that. So that's really my own opinion. I might be wrong on this one. In real life, it's much easier because I think I feel the energy. It helps me. Sometimes people, I meet them and I immediately have their type. You know, it just pops up, and then in the weeks after, you learn that you were correct with how you saw it in the first seconds. But I miss that energy in interviews at YouTube and things like that. So it's really, I need to find out what are the drivers when they answer your questions, things like that. What's driving them, not the behavior, but why they're answering it, and that gives me the clues. But you get less than in the real world. In the real world, to me, it's much easier.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. I don't think I have any more questions for you, Taco, but that was amazing. I like how you mentioned that, you know, for you, you need to feel things out a lot, and whether that be energy or physically. Like I noticed that.
But most people, sorry to interrupt again, but otherwise I'm afraid I forget it. A lot of people think SE is just using your senses, and to me, that's like 1% of what SE is. I think SE is also knowing exactly how much energy you can apply. I sometimes compare it to pushing with the pencil to an air balloon without popping it, you know. And if you push too hard, you pop the balloon. And it's also with how you interact with people. And I feel so much integrated with the world around me, including people, that you really feel a lot. And it's probably also a lot of FE, but the SE-FE combination really gives you a sense of energy of people. And I notice also ENFJs are quite good in typing with people, also based on a kind of similar process. So I think it's SE-FE or FE-SE, a combination of it. Yeah. And other people like NFPs might also feel energy, but that's probably then a different way how they feel it, because they use different functions for it.
Right.
You never know how somebody else feels. So, but
yeah.
I can always relate to what the NFJs say a lot. Well, I'm an SP. STP, but yeah, we still have the same functions and they see it from a different perspective, but I can relate to it. Yeah, it sounds always very familiar, and I think, okay, yeah, I know that well. Yeah. And I like the way they describe it because it's different than the way I would typically describe it.
I think you have really good self-awareness, by the way. Like the way you described SE was so good. I actually wrote it down just now. It was so good. I've never heard anyone describe it. You know, how you talked about how much energy you need to apply. You know, that's a very good description, I think.
And also, yeah, to me, it's not that I'm here in the world, but it's like everything melts together, you know. If I'm in the boat rowing, It's not me sitting in the boat rowing, but it's like one moving unit. And then if it's a crew, it's like also the whole crew is like one moving unit, and everything is integrated. And to me, that's why it also feels like a flow state, you know, because everything becomes one, and it's fantastic. And you even feel how the blades are gripping in the water. At least I can feel that.
Wow.
And then there's an ENTJ in the crew, and he doesn't feel what he's doing. He's super strong, but he doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I understand why, but I'm trying to coach him. But it's almost frustrating because I want him to feel it as well. That when he's losing grip, and
Yeah.
to me it's so obvious, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I think ESTPs can drive cars like maniacs.
Yeah.
And
How do you guys drive like
people,
maniacs? Yeah. I'm curious
yeah,
about that.
people sit next to them and they think they have like a near-death awareness when they sit next to them,
Yeah,
experience when they sit next to them.
I do.
But to me, and it is like it's all controlled, you know. I don't feel I'm taking any risk because I feel exactly what the tires are doing. I feel how the gears are going and the RPMs, everything. So everything is under control. It doesn't feel like I'm taking any risk myself. And, it's funny because I met an INFJ friend I know already for 25 years, and he reminded me that 25 years ago I would use the handbrake sometimes in the curves, and he said it was absolutely crazy, but you always did it controlled. It never went wrong, and I even can't remember I did it. He still remembers. It's funny.
That sounds like a because like I'm an NF, right? Like I'm ENFP.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like a superpower. You know, like I can't even imagine like what it feels like when like the blades of the oar is touching the water and like you said, the tires and like how it feels with the pavement.
Yeah.
Like you're
But it's like part of myself. That's the interesting thing, you know. That's the SE awareness. It's not really the blade, but it's like I feel it myself. It's as if I'm just one with the blades and also with the car.
yeah.
It's really cool. But so yeah, we all have our superpowers, and this is something I really like of being an ESTP because it's really cool.
Yeah,
It feels
that's a super cool superpower. That's crazy. I can't even do that. That's not, I'll never be able to do that.
when I was a kid, when I was 7, we were living abroad, and I made a kind of windmill, and out of a ventilator I took apart, and then I wanted to mount it on the rooftop. And when I was walking on the rooftop, my mom saw me, and she really screamed. And but yeah, she scared me because she was screaming. But I was not scared for walking over the rooftop because it felt very controlled as a kid. You know, I was not thinking I was doing crazy things. So I think that was already a good example of SE. You know, it's you feel with your grip on the tiles on the rooftop. And, well, what's the issue, mom? I'm just mounting my windmill.
Yeah. Oh man.
Of course, sometimes it goes wrong, and then we blame ourselves for not having seen that risk or the possible consequence. But most of the time it doesn't go wrong.
Do you think ESFPs or ISTPs or ISFPs can do what you're doing? Like, because they could have pretty strong SE also. Have you seen them being able to be a part of that physical world? Like say when you're rowing, you feel the oar, going to the water.
Yeah, I think ISTPs they can definitely do it. If you see some ISTP mountain bikers, it's just incredible. It looks for people who don't know what they're doing, it looks really like they risk their lives in the mountains, but they know exactly what they're doing. And I know several of them, so that's why I'm so sure. They can. Also, my younger brother is in ISTP, so they can do it for sure. Yeah.
And to them, it's not dangerous to them. To them, it's 100% controlled, even though it looks crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then one falls down and dies, and then everybody says, "Yeah, you see, all these guys are crazy and they do dangerous things." But,
maybe the person that fell wasn't an ESTP or ISTP. It was
maybe that's also possible. Yeah,
it's probably an N or SJ or something.
That's possible. Yeah, I didn't think of it. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
All right, Taco. So thanks for doing the interview. If you want someone to reach out to you to talk to you about this, I don't know if you do or not, but how can people reach out to you or talk to you?
I will put a comment then under your video. So because my YouTube name is ESTP Baaf.
Okay, so I'll link to your YouTube channel then.
Yeah. it's funny because some people say to me, "You're not an ESTP because you put it in your name," and that's always when people want to be something. But
Yeah.
as you noticed, I've left my comments everywhere on the internet, and every time they were asking me, "What kind of typer are you?" So that's why I changed it to ESTP, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to write every time reply, "I'm ESTP." So that's
Yeah, you save
how I
time.
changed it.
You're more
Because
efficient.
before I was BAF 10, just very simple. Yeah.
All right, Taco, I'm gonna stop the recording right now, and thanks again for doing this. I learned a lot.
Kendrick also enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone before I hit the stop button here.